Duérmete niño, duérmete ya, que viene el coco y te llevará. Duérmete niño, duérmete ya, que viene el coco y te comerá.
Welcome back to another special Halloween episode, and in this one we're going to review 4 Halloween events in Southern California. And while it was the first time for me to experience these kind of events and mazes, my friend Steve, the Halloween expert, has been doing these for many years, right?
That's right, Chris. That's what it says in my dating bio. Guys, we got a killer episode. Once again, no pun intended. We did Knott, we did Universal, we did Reign of Terror, we did Oogie Boogie, and we're here to give you some honest reviews and some really cool tips. And it was super fun seeing Chris go to some of these for the very first time. Let's do it. Let's kick it off, Chris.
Alright, we'll kick things off at Oogie Boogie Bash, which takes place at Disney's California Adventure Park in Anaheim.
That's right, it's me, Oogie Boogie.
Now, the event is sold out this year, so if you plan on going next year, make sure to pay attention to Disney's social media pages to make sure you don't miss the ticket sale, as you need to be on there as soon as tickets are released in order to have a chance to even purchase some. Prices are between $134 to $189, depending on which day you go, with Halloween being the most expensive date. The event starts in early September and runs until October 31st, taking place every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday from 6 to 11 p.m. That said, with an Oogie Boogie ticket, you get early admission into California Adventure beginning at 3 p.m. And my suggestion is to go on the Guardians of the Galaxy special Monsters After Dark overlay first, since that starts at 3 p.m. every day. That way you don't have to go on that ride anymore when the actual Oogie Boogie event kicks off at 6 p.m. and instead can focus on the other activities such as the character experiences, which allows you to take photos with some of your favorite Disney villains. One of my favorite highlights was certainly the Villains Grove, where Disney transformed the Redwood Creek Challenge Trail into this really cool atmosphere with lots of light, sound, and color effects. And yeah, there's just a lot happening around you as you walk through that trail. And especially the end is really cool, where you walk towards this bright light and it feels like you're walking into a different universe. So what was your highlight of the event, Steve?
I gotta say, without a doubt, the highlight for me was the parade. That was awesome, guys. I mean, they had Ichabod Crane running for his life. They had the Headless Horseman running behind him, or riding behind him, I should say. A huge dark horse. It was pretty epic, and I'm not really a parade guy. When I go to Disneyland, I don't even watch the parades, but this was excellent. Definitely the highlight for me. I did like Villains Grove too. It had kind of this serene, spooky vibe to it. I could have used some scare actors, but that's just my personal preference. I didn't do the Monsters After Dark, mainly because I value my sanity and that...
Let's put it this way, he's a wuss.
Hold on, listen guys, that Guardians of the Galaxy ride is no joke. I mean, I went out with Chris for the first time and I was traumatized. So, might have been the highlight for me if I went on, but that's okay, I can live without knowing. I do gotta say though, getting a ticket to this event was no easy feat. I mean, it was like trying to get the golden ticket to Willy Wonka's chocolate factory.
Yeah, exactly. It's such a popular event. They also have these immersive treat trails where cast members hand out tons of candy. And you get a bag as you enter the event, but you might want to ask for a second one or bring an additional one because there's so much candy.
Bring a trash bag.
Exactly. But not only do you get candies on these treat trails, you also get to interact with some of your favorite Disney villains, such as Sid from Toy Story or Judge Doom from Roger Rabbit. What did you think about the treat trails?
Okay, so first off, the Judge Doom was so well done. It was
Absolutely.
creepy. I've always been creeped out by Judge Doom ever since I saw Who Framed Roger Rabbit back in the late 80s as a kid. It was crazy. He did a great job.
Yeah.
I like the treat trails. The person I went with, a fellow Disney adult, she had a huge bag she brought from home. Yes, you could bring a bag from home. And she took a bag from a cast member, so she was locked and loaded. And we went through a trail that had Ernesto de la Cruz from Coco, and she was interacting. She has a crush on the guy. I mean, who doesn't? All the girls love him. Yes, they had a tremendous singing voice. Actors were on point. It was super fun. I did enjoy that.
Absolutely, yeah. And we do want to point out that this is certainly a family-friendly event, so you can bring your kids. But it's also fun for, as Steve calls them, the Disney adults.
Absolutely. I would say there were more Disney adults than actual kids there.
Yeah.
If you want scary, though, this is probably not the place. However, I heard there's a farm about 7 minutes northwest. A scary farm. Maybe we can check that out and see if it's a little more scary than the Oogie Boogie. But overall, I liked it. Did you like it?
I did, for sure, yeah. And let's move on to a scary one. Alright, here we are at Knott's Scary Farm, which takes place at Knott's Berry Farm in Buena Park near Anaheim. Unlike Oogie Boogie Bash, there are still tickets available for Knott's Scary Farm. General admission starts at $60, and if you want to include the Fright and Fast Lane Pass, it will be an additional $145 on top of the general admission fee. We went on a Sunday night and the regular lines were very short. The longest we waited was maybe around 20 minutes. That said, if you go on a Saturday, I'm assuming lines might be longer and you might want to consider the Fast Lane Pass. The event takes place on select nights between September 21st and October 31st, and highlights include the 10 frightening mazes, 5 sinister scare zones, a few spooky shows, and on top of that, you can also go on rides such as the Timber Mountain Log Ride or Calico Candy Mine Ride. Steve, so this year marked their 50th anniversary, making it the longest running Halloween theme park event in Southern California.
That's right.
What are your thoughts on this special anniversary event?
Well, Chris, this is the event that started it all. 50 years ago, someone had an idea in Knott's Berry Farm to dress up as like a gorilla. It might have been Mr. Knott himself. Not too sure. I gotta read up on the actual history, but from there grew into one of the most innovative events in theme park history. Knott started it, and they've held a high standard ever since. It was really awesome. The overall experience of Knott's Scary Farm is a perfect balance of creepy, spooky, and fun. Even the small things like walking through Ghost Town, getting from maze to maze, it's like an adventure in itself. Scare actors are always top notch. You know, 50 years ago, Knott's, they set the bar for these kinds of things, and 50 years later, the bar still hangs sky high. Kind of like the legend of Sarah Marshall. If you know, you know.
Yeah, they really know how to turn the theme park into this scary atmosphere. And like Steve said, even as you walk through the park, you'll definitely know you're at a Halloween event.
The ambiance is like top notch. They're really great with their lighting and their smoke machine. Not smoking. Kids don't smoke. Yeah, they just know how to set the tone. They are masters of the theme park scare. And the scare actors, they're amazing. Like, you see one guy come after you, sliding on his knees. The sliders, as they call them.
Yeah, I got scared by that when I first saw it.
He did. I had to take him to the first aid office. He might have soiled himself, but that's okay.
Just a little bit.
Nothing a trip to the gift shop couldn't fix.
Yeah, so let's talk about the mazes, because I gotta say, those were incredible. The production is just out of this world. And while I really enjoyed all of the mazes, there are a couple I want to point out. One is the Chilling Chambers, where Knott's Berry Farm honors the past 50 years of them putting together these mazes. What did you think about that one,
I
Steve?
think we have a little visitor here.
Oh, it's Cat. Look at you.
Let's see what Cat thinks.
Looks like he wants some loving.
Should we bring Cat up? Let's bring him up.
Let's bring him up.
Okay, Cat.
All right.
Fine. Okay, so you mentioned production value. I mean, the production value of the mazes is phenomenal. They're technically impressive, but what makes the mazes is the organic feel and the heart that they're designed with. You know, it's just brilliant creativity. And of course, the heart of the scare actors. That's what really makes it for me.
Yeah, and another maze I really liked was the cinema slasher, where you walk through this movie theater and there's a lot going on, and you can even smell the popcorn. It's just incredible.
That was a creative maze.
Yeah.
That was mind-boggling. And I gotta say, the popcorn was a nice touch.
Right?
But
Yeah.
let's not give too much away. You guys gotta experience it. It was truly one of the most innovative mazes I've been to. Super cool.
Absolutely, yeah. And all the other mazes were amazing as well. There was one where it felt like the scare actors may have been on break or something, so there wasn't a lot going on, but still it had some cool elements. So we highly suggest going to all of the mazes at Knott Scary Farm.
Right, and to actually address her point, that's the only thing I didn't really like about our otherwise perfect trip to Knott Scary Farm. Some of the mazes were understaffed. There might have been break time. Then again, we went on a Sunday. It was a very slow day, and I would say that the quick maze lines was a great trade-off for,
Absolutely.
perhaps one or two mazes that were understaffed. The newer ones were on point. Everybody was just under A game. So fair trade-off, I'd say.
I agree, yeah. It still was a great experience, all in all. So Steve, you were our tour guide that night because
right.
you've done it many times before, and I gotta say, you really led us as a group through that park in a very efficient manner. So what are your tips?
Here's my tips, guys. Number one, wear comfortable shoes, okay? Because you're gonna walk thousands and thousands of steps.
And you're gonna walk fast.
Yes, and ladies, leave the high heels for the club. Number two is eat before you go into the park. Don't eat during the park. You're wasting valuable maze time, guys.
I heard they have incredible chicken there, right?
Oh yes, Mrs. Knott's chicken is very good. They have the restaurant and the to-go. We actually had that right before we went in, and it was the perfect fuel. Yeah, hit that up, but guys, just eat before you go into this thing. Number three is make sure your group is on the same page. Make sure you come with a very tight group where everybody agrees on a game plan. That's super important because it just takes one person in a group to actually ruin the whole experience. So basically, if you can keep your group tight-knit, you will have a lot more fun.
So yeah, and Steve, we went in a certain way to make sure we hit all the mazes at the perfect time. So what is your suggestion on that?
The secret to hitting all the mazes is going into a certain pattern. Basically, you start from the right side of the park. Your starting point should be Chilling Chambers. From there, you work your way up near the log ride where there's two other mazes. From there, you keep on going to the other side of the park. There's the Grimoire, and then there's the Origins maze, and then the final, you walk through Ghost Town and make your way to the last four mazes near the Ghost Rider ride. So it's basically, I guess it's somewhat a circle, maybe a helmet shape, but always works. We hit all the mazes in 2 hours, actually 3 hours.
Yeah, so if you have any questions, just let us know and we'll help you out on planning your Knott Scary Farm adventure. Alright, should we head to Hollywood next?
That's right. Hollywood,
Here
we'll
we
see
go.
you soon.
So here we are at Universal's Halloween Horror Nights, which takes place at Universal Studios in Hollywood, California, and they actually have the same event over in Orlando. Tickets are still available and prices fluctuate quite a bit, starting at around $77 for general admission. Now for this event, we highly recommend getting the express passes despite the high price point. We paid $219 on a Thursday in September, and it's so well worth it as you can pretty much walk onto all of the haunted houses. The wait times for general admission were quite long, some even I think 160 or 180 minutes. That's why Express is definitely the way to go. Note that they also have a ticket that will give you access to the park early at 2 p.m. Prices for these tickets start at $142, and the most exclusive pass is the RIP tour, the guided tour which sets you back about $439. Horror Nights takes place on select nights between September 7th and October 31st, starting at 7 p.m. Closing times can vary depending on the day you visit, and it was 1 a.m. when we went. Highlights include 8 terrifying haunted houses, the Terror Tram, scare zones, live entertainment, and you can also enjoy rides such as Jurassic World, Transformers, The Mummy, and the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. Now, please note that the newest attraction, Super Nintendo World, is closed during Horror Nights. So Steve, this was the very first Halloween event that we visited this year, which means for me it was the very first time I went into a maze, and I gotta say the production, the whole experience was just incredible. Frankly, I just couldn't believe it. So yeah, I was very amazed by everything. What were your thoughts about this year's Horror Nights?
That pun.
You like that one?
That was good. Guys, it was an honor breaking Chris in with Horror Nights. Let's just say after the first maze, I had to take him once again to the first aid station, and then to the gift shop. Listen, guys, the maze production value is top notch. It's Universal Studios, so they have the creative minds and they have the innovation to make some of the craziest mazes out there. There was no dead spaces whatsoever. There were so many scare actors. Gotta love Hollywood, and they were top notch. There was absolutely no maze that felt like it was understaffed, and they used these special effects like incredible. It was like if Spielberg designed them himself.
Exactly, yeah. Like the lights, the sounds, the smells, just everything was on point.
It just enhanced like the whole terror aspect of it. It was so well done. My personal favorite maze was Holidays in Hell. That was a perfect blend of horror and creativity. What did you think of Holidays?
I agree, that was definitely also one of my favorites, Holidays in Hell, but then also The Exorcist. Oh my god, it was scary. There's a certain scene in there, I'm not gonna say what it is, but you're gonna be blown away on what's happening. So yeah, once you walk through it, you'll know what I mean.
That Exorcist maze, guys, you're gonna come out emotionally damaged. That was what I like to call a psychologically intense maze.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna spoil it, but that has to be a must-do.
Yeah, we even went with 2 other people as well, and they said they're not gonna go.
They refused to go.
Maze, yeah.
We know who you are.
Yeah.
We won't hold their feet to the fire, but that was really well done. The tram maze, that was probably my least favorite. If I had to be honest, you know, there's some cool stuff to it. I do like seeing that huge crashed airplane there, but other than that, you know, if there's a maze I can skip in lieu of another maze, it would probably be the tram maze, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's still something you should do because, in my opinion, it's a whole different experience to the haunted houses because you actually get on the tram, which if you've been to Universal Studios, you know the backlot tour where you get on that tram. But in this case, you actually get off the tram at the Bates Motel, which creates a really cool atmosphere there as well. So yeah, I think it's still worth going on it, but yeah, if you prefer to just stick to the mazes, especially if you only have a general admission pass and can't do all of them, then maybe you want to skip that one.
Yeah, you know what, let me emphasize, I am speaking from a point of efficiency. If you're going with a GA pass, you're going to have to prioritize certain mazes and really think of a game plan. If you have the fast pass, good news, you're going to be able to do all the mazes in a pretty good amount of time.
Exactly, and that, just brings us back to that point. We highly recommend going with the Fast Pass, especially if you're going on a Saturday. But we went on a Thursday night in September, and it was still crazy busy for the general admission lines. So yeah, go with that Fast Pass if you can.
I'm sure you guys have seen social media about the lines over in Horror Nights, and it is true.
It is true, yeah.
You know, but to add some context, we did go early in the game. It was like late September, and it was a zoo. In Universal Horror Nights, there are no slow nights. There's busy nights and busier nights. Do not go on a Friday or a Saturday without a fast pass. If you guys want to go on an off day with a GA, you could probably do half the mazes, maybe even squeeze in 6, but you have to be very strategic about it. You got to get there early, and you have to have a game plan. Fortunately, once you get in, off to the left side, you have 2 mazes that are really top tier. You've got the Monsters of Latin America, and you got Evil Dead Rises.
Those were certainly 2 of my favorites as well, so you should certainly hit them first thing as you get in. Walk past all those scary actors that threaten you with chainsaws, and go to the Evil Dead Rise first, and then the Monsters of Latin America.
And when you get out of Monsters, you get into this really cool Day of the Dead scare zone.
Yeah.
I'm not going to spoil it, but that was a really nice touch. Universal Horror Nights, fantastic, but expensive.
Yeah. All right, Steve, should we head over to an independent maze?
I think we should. Maybe one where there's 1,000 oaks.
All right, let's do it. So here we are at Reign of Terror, located in Thousand Oaks in Ventura County, just west of LA County. And the cool and weird and creepy thing about this one is that it takes place at a mall in a former Sears store. It is the largest indoor professional walkthrough haunted house in Southern California with 28,000 square feet of floor space and has been operating since 1999. The general admission tickets for this independent maze are $35 to $40, and if you want immediate access, it's $60 to $65. When we went, we got general admission and were able to get right in, so you might be fine just getting the GA tickets. Also, you can purchase tickets online, but if you choose to get the tickets on site, please be aware that it's cash only. The maze takes place on select nights, mainly on weekends between September 29th and November 4th, and times vary, but mainly it's between 7 and 11 p.m. So what are the highlights? Well, there are more than 138 custom rooms in 10 different interconnected haunt-themed sections. There are huge, and by huge I mean ridiculously huge creature characters, twisted walkthrough paths, and they have this special Lights Out edition on November 4th from 7 to 11 p.m. So Steve, you've been to the Lights Out one before, right? So what's special about that one?
Well, it's very traumatizing and very terrifying, so it's fantastic in my book. They give you a glow stick, and basically this maze as is with the lights on is terrifying. So imagine that it's completely dark, but you can still see the props and the scare actors, and the effects are just amplified by a factor of 100.
I mean, I got scared just by the regular one, so I don't think I'm gonna go to the Lights Out one.
Let's just say if you did go to the Lights Out one, we would have to take you to the first aid office.
Once again.
And to the gift shop to get you all cleaned up. When I did go to the Lights Out, I went with a friend of mine. She was out of there. The exit, like a quarter of the way. It is not for the faint of heart. Highly recommended.
Alright, so let's talk about the maze. So yeah, once again, I was so impressed. The production is on point, the same like Universal Horror Nights.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredible. The time and effort and money they put into it is just amazing.
No pun intended.
Nope. And the way I see it is essentially multiple mazes from Universal, like 5 or 6 combined into one huge maze. And it takes you, what, like 25 to maybe even 30 minutes to walk through it. It seems like it's never ending. Your excitement level and your adrenaline is just through the roof as you walk through.
It's like a nightmare you can't escape. I that's the best way I could describe it. It is so well done. The utilization of effects with the scare actors is really impressive. I agree, it is like 5 Universal level mazes combined into one
crazy.
nightmare. Super cool. What I would recommend for this particular maze, we got lucky. We went on opening day and the lines were short, but I've been to this maze numerous times and the wait can be a little long, to be honest. I've seen long lines there. Get there early. They have slots open from 7 p.m. So that's your best bet. Even if you don't want to get there early, what I would recommend is you make a day of it. You go to Burbank, per hour Burbank video.
Check it out.
Check it out. And then Reign of Terror, would be the cherry on top to a scary, spooky day.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. My only little critique point on this maze was that it's really just that one maze, even though it's massive and super cool. I felt like I want to add a little something to it. So yeah, check out our Burbank video, do some horror and Halloween stuff over there. Drive over to Thousand Oaks, about a 30-minute drive from Burbank.
Yeah.
And just, make a whole night out of it. That'll make it a really, really cool experience.
And, as a standalone maze, the beauty with these independent mazes like Reign of Terror or Huntington Manor or Coffin Creek is that you can head to these mazes at your convenience and knock it out and leave, go have dinner with friends or whatnot. Whereas the theme park mazes, which are incredible, is an event that requires commitment from the start all the way to the finish. So there's a convenience factor. There's also a value factor. $35 for what's essentially 5 Universal level mazes is not bad.
Absolutely, yeah. Also, maybe you're just in town for a couple of days. You don't have the time to go to one of the theme parks.
Right.
Then this is the place to go to.
That's a very good point. I agree. So visitors from somewhere else, Reign of Terror.
Go check it out. All right, Steve, I think it's time for the verdict. Let's go ahead and rate all of our experiences.
Let's do it.
Alright, let's start with Oogie Boogie Bash. What's your rating on that one, Steve?
Sorry, Disney fans, but I'm gonna have to give it a 3.5. Not scary at all, and I knew that going in. However, it's just one of those things where it's a Halloween event, and coming out not even remotely scared just doesn't do it for me. I did have a good time, and it is a fun event. Would I go through the trouble of getting a ticket again for that event? Probably not, but it was a fun thing to experience as a Disney adult. As far as prioritizing it as a Halloween event, there are better options.
Yeah, I agree with that. I also rate this one 3.5 out of 5 because, again, yeah, it's for a certain demographic,
Right.
for a family with kids, or like Steve said, if you're a Disney adult, you'll definitely enjoy this event. It's a great event that they put together, but it is what it is. You're not going to get scared. I feel like it doesn't really put you into that scary, spooky Halloween mood, which I was looking for. So yeah, take it for what it is, enjoy it, but it is a different type of Halloween event.
Yeah, totally agree.
Alright, now on to Reign of Terror. So I'll start with this one. I give it 4 out of 5 stars. The only reason I'm not at 5 stars is that it's this one maze out there in Thousand Oaks and there's nothing else around it, essentially. However, if you make a day out of it, like we said, and go maybe to Burbank first and make it really a Halloween-themed night, then I can see that going up to 4.5 or even 5 stars. It is a great maze. We would definitely recommend going there, but keep in mind that it's that one maze out there and not a full-on event. What did you think, Steve?
Easy, solid 4.2. This maze was incredible. It is super fun. It is a great value too, at $35 for what's essentially 5 Universal
Yeah.
Studio
That's
level
true.
tier mazes. It is super cool. If you stack it with Burbank, watch our video, and make a whole day out of it, you're into 5 territory.
Absolutely, yeah. I agree with that. Alright, now Universal's Horror Nights. Steve, take it away.
Okay, so Universal Horror Nights, I loved it. It was a phenomenal event, very scary. I'm gonna give it a 4.75, and I'll tell you why. The deal breaker is the lines. Huge. Like I said, there's no slow days in this event, only busy days, busier days, and the price point of the tickets is prohibitive, to be honest. In order to go on a Friday or Saturday, you have no choice but to get the Express Pass.
Even in my opinion on other days as well.
Yeah, even so, we used one on Thursday, so that's the only thing. Otherwise, the event itself was super fun. The ambiance, the maze production, the scare zones, high marks. They did really good, and if you could do it, I recommend it.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with it. I will still give it 4.99 out of 5 stars, so
Respectful.
very close to that 5-star mark. Because, yeah, once again, the mazes are incredible. It was my first time going through mazes like that. I'm definitely going back next year. It was so much fun. But yeah, the price point, you have to get the express ticket in my opinion to really
Yeah.
enjoy it. And then yeah, it does get pricey. So keep that in mind, but yeah, it is an amazing event.
No pun intended.
Nope. Alright, next up is Not Scary Farm. So for me, that one takes the cake, 5 out of 5 stars. Yup, gotta applaud Knott for this one. I mean, it was just incredible. The mazes were amazing. The scare zones, just walking through the park, the atmosphere. And it's only, what, $60 roughly to get in? Lines were short. Yeah, so all in all, this one for me takes the cake with a close second, Universal Horror Nights. What did you think about Not Scary Farm, Steve?
So I walked in with high expectations. It's their 50th anniversary. I've been to Knott's many times. It's always been a favorite of mine. 5 stars. And what was cool about it is I took Chris to Universal first so he could get a benchmark of the mazes. And that should tell you how good Knott's mazes are, that he was able to find it comparable to Universal
Yeah.
mazes. Even though it's a different vibe, the production value,
It's on par. Yeah. I actually couldn't believe it when you told me that wait until we go to Knott's. I was like, Universal. There's no way anyone can beat that. And yeah, Knott's maybe doesn't beat them, but they are on the same level. For
Yeah, Knott's is not playing around.
Nope.
And again, the ambiance, the scare zones, the food, the whole vibe, the fact that you explore the whole park, going from maze to maze, just that experience is fun. Walking through Ghost Town.
Yeah.
Knott's, you guys did good this year, and that is my number one recommendation. It is the value. It has high marks for quality. Do it. Do it. If there's one maze you could do this year, Not Scary Fun.
Yes, I fully agree. All right, friends, that wraps up our Halloween maze special. And check out our Burbank video, subscribe, and we'll see you soon.
Sleep, my baby, sleep, baby, dear. The boogeyman's coming, and he will eat you.